Hey you guys, this is Mrs. Colette. Today we're going to talk about outlining, okay? Now the first thing you need to do is you need to not mark up my copy of this outline because then no one else will be able to use it. So instead, go to File, make a copy, and then call it last name, comma, first name. Obviously your last name, comma, your first name, comma, outline, okay? This will enable you to work on it on your own. And then inside of that copy, you will make all of your edits to this page so that I can keep my outline for everyone else, okay? Now, so you would hit OK, but I'm going to X out because I don't need a copy, okay? So you'll make a copy. Now, at the top of the page, it's going to ask, who is my audience? The audience is already chosen for you for this essay, but you still need to write it down because it's important to remember that this essay is to a Utah state legislator. Okay, and that's going to make this essay different than if you were writing it to someone your own age or a younger sibling or your parents or a neighbor or a friend, right? So it's to a Utah state legislator. And remember that you're going to write it in a way that would be persuasive to a Utah state legislator. Should boys and girls play on the same teams? This is your choice. I'm going to go back and forth. So for right now, I'm going to write yes, but you could just as easily write no. I don't have an opinion that's going to prevent you from getting a good grade. So write what you think. Okay? Now, go and look at the quotes that you've selected for this project. Look at the quotes that you chose and say to yourself, what do I think is most important? What are the most important reasons that persuade me of my opinion, either for or against co-ed teams? I chose quotes kind of a little bit randomly because I'm not using them to write this essay, but your quotes should be the things that were most persuasive to you. So don't pick exactly my quotes, pick your own quotes, okay? And think about how they persuade you. What reasons do you find? Your quotes shouldn't be more than about 2 sentences each. They should be pretty small because you don't want to paste a whole paragraph in the middle of a paragraph. But here, look at your quotes. What reasons do they give? Pick the best 2 reasons, right? And write them down here in your outline. So reason 1, and if you want to write reason 2 right now, you can. I picked a reason. Co-ed teams cost more money. I could just as easily argue that co-ed teams cost less money because there's evidence for both sides in the sources that we saw. So your argument should match your side. Mine doesn't because I'm going to be going back and forth here. So co-ed teams cost more money would normally go with should boys and girls play on co-ed teams? No. But for this, I'm putting it here anyways. So, but you might say that co-ed teams cost less money. Then copy the quote that made you put that reason, right? You don't have to use this reason. Maybe it's co-ed teams are less fun, or co-ed teams are more fun, or maybe it's because competition will be preserved in gender segregated teams, or maybe it's uh, co-ed teams are safer. People will get injured less often, right? Whatever reasons you've got, write reason 1 here and then paste the quote that made you say that, right? Then explain your quote. I have some examples here of starters for your sentence, but you don't have to use that. Okay, this matters because this means that. Because of this, blank. You should care about this because, or from this you can see. These are just a few examples of things that you might write that that can help to support your quote. You don't just write your quote and walk away. You explain what it means or why it matters. So here I have an example. This matters because the money for for school sports teams comes from the taxes the Utahns pay. So co-ed teams cost more money. Quote about that. This is important because that money comes from taxes that we pay, right? What should you do about it? You have a responsibility to use tax money as efficiently as possible, so you should not support a law that would require schools to combine their teams. Remember that I'm writing to a state legislator whose job it is to make laws and use the money collected in taxes efficiently. So this matters to my audience, right? But you don't have to choose this reason. In fact, don't make your reasons exactly like mine. But this is an example of what your outline might look like. I'm not going to do reason 2 because you can figure that out yourself. I've shown you how to do reason 1. Reason 2 is the same. The purpose of explaining your quote is to help your audience to see why it matters or what it means. And then you should tell them why that means that they should do what they're supposed to do, or what they should do because of your evidence. Okay? Now, reason 2, do that on your own. Reason 3, you don't have a reason 3. You have a counter argument. Okay? A counter argument is an idea that challenges your side. When you explore counter arguments, what you do is you say, not everyone is going to agree with me. I can help them to agree with me by acknowledging their point of view. Nobody likes to be yelled at. Nobody likes to be told that they're wrong. So instead, I can say, I can see where you're coming from. I see your point. This is why I still disagree with you. So pick one of the quotes that was really persuasive to you for the other side, right? Which quote for the other side that you're not representing was a decent reason? Could you see as being persuasive to someone, even if it's not you? You could see, I can see why people would say this, right? And then start. Some people might disagree and say that blank, or many people worry about blank. You might be wondering about how blank. People who do not want co-ed sports often argue blank. Choose one of those or write it in your own way. I've got many people would say that co-ed teams will ruin sports because boys won't play as hard. That's something that there's a quote for. I'm not going to paste that quote, but it exists. I would put it right here, right? Why does it make sense for people to feel that way? Think, how do they feel and why does that make sense? Because people are logical and they have logical reasons for what they think. Acknowledge that. People really care about sports and competition, and that's not a bad thing. So here I have my acknowledgement that it's okay for them to care about that. Why is their argument wrong? Why does it not matter that, like, why should they not think this way? Okay, here I've got, even though this makes sense, blank, even if that were true, blank, while some people may feel this way, it is important to understand that blank, we could solve this problem by blank. This is introducing a compromise. Maybe we do something slightly different, or we make sure that when we do this thing that you're suggesting, we change it enough, or we do it in such a way that it doesn't hurt the people who feel this way, right? We can solve this, we can help people who feel this way by blank. Or this is not totally true because blank. So I could say, people really care about sports and competition, and that is not a bad thing. That doesn't make sense with, this is not totally true because this is an opinion. But I could say, we could solve this problem by blank. Instead, I wrote this. While some boys may not play as hard, the opportunities that come from playing together are too important to give up. So I didn't use one of these sentence starters, and that's fine, right? So here I've acknowledged maybe that's true, but the opportunities that I assume that I've already explained as my reason 2, or my reason 1, reason 2 is up here, should help my reader see that they still should support co-ed sports, because that's what this paragraph would be about. What should your audience do? Even if you're worried about boys being less competitive, you should still support the law that would combine co-ed teams because of all the advantages to co-ed teams. That should be up, right? Here, I have addressed the other side. I've said a lot of people hesitate to take my point of view because of insert reason here. And here's a quote that supports their side. It's reasonable for them to feel that way, but even though they feel that way, we should still choose my idea because this is what you should do, right? That's all you have to do for this outline today, okay? You have to do 2 reasons with a quote, an explanation of why the quote matters and what your audience should do for each one, and then a counter argument, okay? Most of this is a sentence at a time, fill in the blank. You've got this. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will help you, okay? Thank you. Good luck. Have fun.